The 8th season of The Walking Dead kicked off with Mercy, and it's also the show's 100th episode. But before we jump into it, be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any of these breakdowns, plus other breakdowns on Mr. Robot, The Flash, and American Horror Story Cult.
I hope you got your shitting pants on. What? Your shitting pants. I hope you're wearing them right now. Because you are about to shit your pants.
Alright guys, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I kind of fell off the show last year because it was really depressing, really dark, and extremely slow. But the good news is, I'm back for season 8, and we're gonna be breaking down the entire season. Now I'm gonna highlight some of our favorite moments in the episode in this video, but for a more thorough review and breakdown of the episode, be sure to check out Dan Auty's review on GameSpot right now. We're gonna have a link to that in the description below. Alright, first things first, I'm pretty happy with the start of season 8. Already, the pacing feels a lot better from last season. Finally, War Against the Saviors has begun as Rick and his crew have launched their assault on the Sanctuary, and we couldn't be happier. Side note, if you're someone that doesn't care about spoilers and really wants to kind of read ahead, go ahead and check out the comic book story arc of All Out War. It was a 12-issue series that spanned from like 2013 to 2014. Now, we don't expect everything to be adapted verbatim, of course, but there will definitely be some character development and plot points that you'll see from the comic book into the TV show. For everyone else, just do yourselves a favor and stay away from the comic books completely and actually be surprised during season 8. Now, the season premiere jumped a whole lot in time. It went from the past, the present, to the future, but how many different timelines did we actually see? Well, according to director and executive producer Greg Nicotero, there was actually 4 different timelines during this episode. First, of course, the current timeline when we see Rick, Ezekiel, and Maggie giving their speeches, and the assault on the Sanctuary. Second, that Carl and Rick sequence that seems a little bit in the future when they're mirroring the very first episode of the show. During this time, we're also introduced to a mysterious new character that could be Sadiq from the comics. Third, that extreme close-up of Rick in which he looks extremely distressed and physically, mentally, emotionally exhausted, perhaps from the war being over. And fourth, let's call this Old Man Rick. This looked like years in the future. Judith is obviously much older, she's walking and talking. Rick has gray hair and a gray beard, he also has a cane. Alexandria looks a lot more developed, but that soft focus that we see throughout the sequence really makes it feel like a dream sequence, that Rick is imagining this future and that it might not really happen, that it's all in his head. As if Rick's appearance wasn't jarring enough, yes, the song that plays during the sequence is Weird Al Yankovic's Another One Rides the Bus. And even Weird Al was confused why they used this song. But remember, he also has an album called Alpocalypse. I guess maybe after a zombie apocalypse, the only music left over is Weird Al's? As I mentioned earlier, this episode, the 100th episode of the series, had a ton of tributes to the very first episode of the show. Like that close-up insert shot of the watch and clock, Carl walking around with a gas can just like his father did back in episode 1, Carl mimicking his dad by dropping to the floor and checking underneath a car. Of course, Rick waking up in that dream sequence, we think, which was eerily similar to him waking up in the hospital bed back in episode 1. We get an overhead shot of him, and then we see the flowers at the bedside. And finally, that epic ending shot of the zombies overwhelming the Sanctuary with Negan and Gabriel stuck inside the building reminds us obviously of the overhead shot of Rick in the tank. Now, there were a ton more callbacks to episode 1 in this season premiere, but let me know your favorite in the comments below. If you're anything like me, I'm sure you expected a ton of juicy zombie kills, but this episode really wasn't packed with a whole bunch. Our episode reviewer Dan and I really loved the kill that actually happened off screen. Rick ambushed one of the Savior's men and is about to leave him to die until he taunts him about Carl. Not smart, dude, you really shouldn't threaten Carl's life. Rick cuts free a walker that was tied up nearby, and the rest is history. Yeah, I get it, he was a dead man either way, but Rick opted for a much more satisfying kill. We loved it. Another awesome kill has to be Daryl's drive-by walker kill. He waited for the perfect moment and took out that walker with the explosion while keeping the horde on their path to the Sanctuary. Time now for our favorite walker of the episode. This happened after the RV explosion inside the Sanctuary. You see Negan there limping in the background, and in the foreground, the half blown up walker has its ribs exposed and its jaws moving, and it's just totally awesome. Time now for some final thoughts on the season premiere. Number 1, the motivational speeches from Rick, Maggie, and Ezekiel were pretty awesome. They got me totally pumped for season 8. But as far as motivational fictional speeches go, this one's still the best.
Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
Number 2, Gregory is definitely a goner. First he stands with the Saviors, and then he literally carjacks Gabriel. The coward just bounces, leaves him there alone. Believe me, they're gonna kill him off in epic fashion this season. Number 3, the theme of mercy. It's obviously the title of the episode, but it's also referenced when Carl comes across Sadiq, or the character that we assume is Sadiq from the comic books.
He also said that, may my mercy prevail over my wrath.
Now, not only is that a line from the Quran, but it's also a line that's repeated later by Rick. I really think that this line is here to show that Rick is a changed man, that it's not all about vengeance for him. There's a line where he won't cross anymore. Now, we'll have to wait and see how the show differs from the comic book, but it seems like Rick's gonna be merciful. Yes, he's killed a lot of people, he's done a lot of horrible things, but he's not a complete and total psychopath. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit subscribe right over here. And also, check the link in the description below. Dan Auty did an awesome review of this episode. Let me know what you guys thought of the episode and any theories you have moving forward. Next week, we'll be back, episode 2. See you then.